Well, it was the conclusion of a landmark and divisive trial in Brazil. The Supreme Court sentenced Jair Bolsonaro to 27 years in prison. Judges voted 4-1 to convict the firebrand ex-president for plotting to overthrow his successor and rival Luiz Inácio da Silva after his 2022 election defeat. It was one of Brazil's biggest and most divisive trials in recent history. Much of the left saw it as a vital test for the country's democracy, while some on the right thought it was a witch hunt. It also led to an unprecedented crisis in relations between the United States and Brazil. From our international desk, Andrew Hilliar joins us. Hello to you, Andrew. First of all, it's a big trial. Brazilians glued to the TV and social media watching this conclusion. Just how significant was it?
This is an extremely significant decision. This is, ever since Brazil overthrew its monarchy back in 1889, there have been 15 coups or coup attempts linked to the military will. And this is the first time a leader linked to a plot has been convicted. So it is very significant indeed for Brazil. 4 out of 5 judges on the Supreme Court panel voting to convict him. The judges ruling that he was guilty of leading a conspiracy aimed at keeping him in power after he lost the 2022 presidential election. He's also been barred from running for public office until 2033. And many of the judges in making their rulings referred to Brazil's recent history under a military dictatorship. The judge overseeing the trial, very well-known figure, Alexandre de Moraes, said Brazil had come close to returning to a dictatorship because, he said, a criminal organization doesn't know how to lose an election. Justice Carmen Lucia, she's the judge who cast that decisive third guilty vote, compared Bolsonaro's coup attempt to a virus which can fester and kill the society in which it has taken hold. However, just important to point out, he's not going to prison just yet. His lawyers have already said that they find the sentence absurdly excessive, and they say they will appeal it.
Yeah, what has international reaction been to this?
Well, as you may expect, some of the most striking reaction has come from the US. Donald Trump, of course, US President Donald Trump, an ardent supporter and ally of Jair Bolsonaro. He's consistently called this trial against his ally a witch hunt. He's used tariffs as a political weapon, if you will, to exert pressure on Brazil's authorities to call off the trial, raising them to 50% on Brazilian products. The U.S. administration also revoking visas for members of Brazil's high court. Brazil hasn't flinched, however. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reacting, saying the U.S. will respond appropriately to what it called, again, a witch hunt. We'll have to wait and see what that reaction entails. And as you can imagine, that has all triggered a very fiery response from the Brazilian authorities too. Brazil's foreign ministry saying earlier that Rubio's threats, which it says ignores facts and evidence, will not intimidate their democracy.
Bolsonaro's critics might feel like justice has been served, but his political movement unlikely to disappear.
Yeah, well, the first thing to point out, Will, is that this is, as you may expect, this has been a very polarizing trial. And just to give you an idea of that, I want you to take a listen to these Brazilians reacting to the verdict.
Justice Carmen Lucia's vote was enough to convict Bolsonaro and 7 others who committed numerous crimes in an attempt to abolish the democratic rule of law and stage a coup. This joy shows that our country wants something different. It does not want a coup.
We're asking for help from the United States, a country that has a history of fighting communism and has seen that the injustice here is clear and has already crossed the borders of Brazil. The entire world is seeing what's happening, a tremendous injustice.
Yeah, quite striking remarks there from one of Jair Bolsonaro's supporters. One mustn't forget that Bolsonaro only lost the 2022 presidential election in a second-round runoff by 1.8% of the vote. That's a very slim margin, of course. He still does also have a hardcore base of support in what's sometimes referred to as Brazil's Bible beef and bullet group of voters. Those are evangelical Christians, farmers, and gun rights activists. And if it sounds familiar, well, that's because it is familiar, of course. This is a Brazilian variant of the right-wing populist politics that we've seen in the US, in Hungary, amongst other places, and it's very powerful. Bolsonaro supporters, I think also, and Bolsonaro himself, will also feel partially vindicated by that one dissenting voice amongst the judges there, that one judge that cast a vote to acquit Bolsonaro. So even though we may be seeing the back of Bolsonaro, we're not necessarily seeing the back of Bolsonaro's divisive brand of politics. That will likely outlive Bolsonaro himself.
All right, Andrew, thank you.